You put the peeps in the chili pot and add the M&Ms. You put the peeps in the chili pot and makes it taste bad. I'm gonna eat all this chili and or die trying.
What are jalapeno poppers?
Oh, I know this one. Okay, they're deep fried jalapenos filled with cheese.
I had Janet make you a never-ending shrimp dispensary.
Nobody try mystery flavor. It's white chocolate and it is nasty.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week, against my better judgment, we are taking a crack at the foods from The Good Place, starting with Cheety's Peeps Chili. Now, we've made chili about 10,000 times on this show, so for the Good Place accurate version, I'm just gonna go with some canned chili. I doubt that Cheety was making his from scratch if he was adding Peeps and M&Ms, which, according to the Babish bylaws, I am compelled to do now. As per Cheety's recipe, you put the Peeps in the chili pot and heat them both up, you put the Peeps in the chili pot and then add the M&Ms. Simple enough, and with that, I am starving, so let's ladle up a healthy portion. Make sure to get some nice melty Peeps in there. And then how about we throw some more M&Ms on top for a nice splash of color. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We can do this. Put it in your mouth, Andy. We can do this. Everybody's watching. Deep breath. 1, 2, 3, and go. And it's pretty good. Oh, it's not too bad. Oh. No, that's awful. But let's try with a little bit less marshmallow and maybe a few more M&Ms. Here we go. Down the hatch. You know, it's not that bad. I think the marshmallows add a nice sort of nice soft texture. You can do this. You can. Okay, no, let's get this out of me. And let's try and reimagine this as an actual dessert. And what's the closest thing to dessert chili? Why, rice pudding, of course. More specifically, the Filipino champorado, which is a chocolate rice pudding traditionally served hot. Into a large saucepan goes 1.5 cups of sticky sushi or arborio rice, 2.5 cups of water, 2.5 cups of evaporated milk, 1/3 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, a little pinch of kosher salt, and 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar. Then over medium heat, we're bringing that whole mixture to the boil, making sure that everybody gets nice and dissolved, bringing down the heat to medium-low, and simmering for 15 to 25 minutes depending on your rice's cook time. Stir occasionally to make sure that nobody's sticking to the bottom of the pot, and when the rice is nearly done, in other words al dente, we're going to add 4 ounces of dark chocolate, which is going to bring the chocolatiness of our chocolate rice pudding to a whole new chocolatey level. Stir everybody together for a few minutes to melt the chocolate completely, give it a taste, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and a teaspoon of espresso powder. Give it one last taste for seasoning, and then it's time to serve. By the way, you can totally let this cool, cover, and refrigerate for a perfectly lovely chilled chocolate rice pudding, but as I mentioned, this is traditionally served hot and drizzled with sweetened condensed milk or cream of coconut. Let's have a taste and see how this is just on its own, and obviously it's way better than the last batch, but this is Peeps and M&M's chili, so I'm going to finely mince some Peeps, garnish over top, and of course add some peanut M&Ms. Let's give this whole affair a try before everybody gets too melty, and it's perfectly fine, but the Peeps and the M&Ms kind of overpower the chocolate rice pudding, which in this case I think is the true star of the show. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to eat this whole bowl of chili and or die trying. But not before we take a crack at Eleanor Shellstrop's white chocolate shrimp. I'm preparing a fairly simple 3-bowl breading station of 1 egg beaten together with a cup of milk, a bowl of flour, and a bowl of plain breadcrumbs, since the shrimp from the dispenser appeared to be deep fried. Then I've got some peeled and deveined shrimp here, but I've left the tails on for a little grabby handle, and I'm dipping them, as you can imagine, first in the flour, then in the egg milk mixture, and lastly in the breadcrumbs. Rinse and repeat with the remaining shrimp. Pretty simple process. We're then going to bring these over to the stovetop, where I've got vegetable oil that I'm going to preheat to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to fry our shrimp in there for 2 to 3 minutes or until they are cooked through. You might notice that I have a sauce in the works over here. Why don't we talk about that? In order to try to accommodate the white chocolate into our shrimp, we're going to make a Beurre Blanc, an essential French butter sauce that starts with a small shallot finely minced. Into a sauté pan it goes, along with 2 tablespoons each of white wine and white wine vinegar. And it's not required, but if you want to help stabilize your emulsion, a tablespoon or 2 of heavy cream. We're bringing this mixture to a simmer and reducing down until the liquid is almost entirely reduced, and then reducing the heat to very, very low and starting to add our butter, about 8 ounces or 1 cup, a few chunks at a time. After we add 4 or 5 chunks, we're going to whisk it into the mixture, creating a smooth, thick, buttery emulsion. Now make sure that you do not have your heat too high. In fact, take it off the heat every once in a while, otherwise this might happen. Your sauce will break, and you'll end up with a watery, oily, separated kind of mess like this instead of a creamy, buttery, beautifully thick sauce like this that will eagerly coat the back of a spoon. And if you go so far as to taste it, you might find out that it tastes awesome, and it's going to make a perfect dip for our shrimp. But what about the white chocolate? Well, I swear I didn't make this up, but there are several recipes out there for a white chocolate beurre blanc. The recipe starts exactly the same, but when it comes time to add the butter, we're only adding 4 ounces, followed by 4 ounces of white chocolate, which we are going to whisk in rigorously as we would the butter. And I found that immediately it started to break my sauce, but with the addition of a few tablespoons of heavy cream, the sauce was saved and we had ourselves a white chocolate beurre blanc. And of course we need a show-accurate control group, so how about some plain Jane melted white chocolate? So with all the shrimp fried and all the sauces sauced, it's time for the next probably gag-inducing taste test. As you can see, our shrimp is looking lovely, so let's ruin one by dipping it in white chocolate. This is a strange job to be sure, but someone has to do it. I'm sure this won't be as bad as Peeps Chili, but it ain't gonna be a cakewalk. And as you can imagine, it tastes really, really bad. It tastes almost like I took a deep fried shrimp and dipped it in white chocolate. Next up, our white chocolate beurre blanc. And this was surprisingly palatable. The acidity from the vinegar offsets the white chocolate while the richness of the butter kind of complements it. But that said, I have a feeling it's not gonna stand a chance against the straight up butter sauce. And what do you know, I was right. But if you're on some sort of weird diet where you need to eat a certain amount of white chocolate per day, this is an effective way to do it. Now, after all these very unfortunate taste tests, how about we treat ourselves to something we know is gonna be a slam dunk? Jalapeno poppers. Now we're gonna start with halved jalapenos, the veins and seeds of which we're gonna scoop out using a spoon. And as I've said a million times, make sure you wear gloves while you're doing this unless you want to catch your dick on fire when you go to the bathroom. And now we've got to make the filling, which Jason described as cheese, but not just any cheese. 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese massaged together with a grated 8-ounce block of pepper jack. We're gonna shovel a few generous tablespoons into the hollowed out carcasses of our jalapenos, and then it's time to get to breading, a very similar situation to our shrimp breading, but in a different order. We're gonna start by simply coating the jalapenos first in the egg and milk mixture, followed by flour. We're then going to let them dry at room temperature for 10 minutes. This is in an effort to create a nice, sticky, porous surface to which our breading can more easily adhere. So once you've got everybody coated up, let it rest for 10 minutes at room temperature, and then prepare a breading station of the egg and milk mixture, followed by breadcrumbs. You could use panko if you want, but I'm going to double bread these, and I don't want the breading to be too thick. Then once we've got everybody breaded up, it's time to let these dry at room temperature for 45 minutes. You might be thinking that this is an awful lot of work for a very simple appetizer, but nothing is sadder than an underbreaded jalapeno popper. You know, with the jalapeno skin hanging out and the cheese melting through, it just looks low effort, and we're trying to go for a restaurant-style jalapeno popper since Jason is such a big fan of Buffalo Wild Wings. So after their second breading, into a 375-degree Fahrenheit oil bath they go, again for about 2 to 3 minutes or until deeply golden brown and crisp. You might experience a tiny little bit of cheese leakage, but it shouldn't be anything significant. And there you have it, the ultimate spicy, cheesy, crunchy appetizer for all of your taste testing friends. Today we've got Ari and Adam, who gave the poppers 2 resounding good job hand signs. I knew I had to give these things a try for myself, but I'm still on this stupid diet for 2 more weeks, so I did what any food personality on a diet would do: take a bite, spit it out, and take a whole bunch of pics for Instagram. I mean, what else is food for? Hey guys, I just want to give a big shout out to a dear friend of the show, Broke for Free, the artist whose music you've heard score almost every episode of this show, including the very song you're hearing right now. He just released a new album called BFF that is available on his website and SoundCloud right now. One of the tracks, Forever Wavy, is actually the theme song to my new show, Being with Babish. So head to the links in the video description below, or go to thebffalbum.com now to hear all the songs and see all his amazing music videos.